Hi, I'm Yolanda Cope-Stepney and you're listening to Speak On. We talk all things culture, society and wellbeing. Hey, it's Yolanda and this is Speak On. We talk about culture, society and wellbeing, and a big part of wellbeing is sex. If you're related to me, I'm going to need you to switch off in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, we're going into my favourite subject, or one of my favourite subjects. One is dicks, the other is Malbec. They say you can't improve on perfection, but one should always try. So today we're talking about how to be better in bed. Because being better in bed isn't just good for you and your enthusiastically consenting sexual partner or partners, but also it's better for you, it's better for them, it's better for everyone. Who doesn't want anything good to be better? I certainly do. Okay. Full disclosure, my Yelp reviews are popping. I know what I'm doing. But I haven't caught a dick in a hot minute thanks to Corona Lee Jenkins, shutting down most of the planet and bringing my dating life to a grounding halt. I'm not saying I've forgotten what to do, but I feel like some tips might be helpful now. Now that lockdown light is happening and there are bubbles that allow people to put it in and things to happen. You know, honestly, I'm kind of only partially listening to government advice. It's a bit shaky, it's a little bit vague. So I'm just hearing the bits that I want to hear and taking those parts of it. And part of that is definitely, I'm sure I can muck around with someone. But anyway, unlike lots of smug couples, those of us living alone during the pandemic haven't been able to practice. And as London Hughes said, no one is sparing a thought for the single women during this time. Of course, being better in bed doesn't just apply to single folks. I know some people who are coupled up who definitely want to mix it up a bit. So whether you're single, whether you have a partner or partners, or you're about to jump ship and you want to be better in bed, or on the sofa, or on the floor, or the bathroom, or anywhere else you want to do it, this episode is for you. My guest today, Patricia Cervantes, is one half of the duo that wondered, what would happen if I took a rampant rabbit and then powered it with pre-self-aware Skynet? The result? Vibio, where sex, toys and techs meet for an explosive result. Welcome, Patricia, my favourite sextrepeneur. Hey, hon, how are you?
Thanks, Yolanda. Really good. Happy to be here.
Good. So glad to have you here. So let's start actually with talking about Vibio, because I've kind of said a little bit about what it is, but why don't you tell me about it?
Yeah, so basically Alma, my co-founder, and I founded Vibio 2 years ago. We've been friends since forever, since we were 3 years old. So we grew up together. Sex was always an important part of our lives, but we felt that there was a lot of stigma around it. And so, you know, we thought the sex tech industry was super interesting. The fact that you could mix vibrators with, you know, an app, and all of a sudden open up so many possibilities in terms of how you interact with other people. And yeah, we had an idea for a wearable vibrator. So a vibrator that you could wear anywhere and anytime. And yeah, we just thought, why not do it? And that's how everything started.
I love it. So do either of you have a tech or sex toy background?
Not a sex toy background, at least not formally, but we were definitely sex toy lovers before this. So nice. It was definitely a passion project, but both of us worked in tech. We studied business. Alma started her career in startups. She always knew she wanted to start a business. And so, you know, she got some experience there, and I also worked in tech consulting. So yeah, tech was always something that really interested us.
Oh, nice. Awesome. And then, so I know when I've spoken to you a little bit about Vibio before, is it on the market yet? Or is it still in like the kind of pre-ordering process because of the coronavirus?
Yeah, so back in February, we started a Kickstarter campaign, which went great. And now we're working on getting everything ready for production.
Amazing.
So yeah, basically we plan to deliver Ella, which is the name of our vibrator, in October. And yeah, after then it should be available for everybody to buy it.
That's awesome. That is so good. And with your Kickstarter, so can people still go on and pre-order, or do they have to wait now for everything to be ready to order?
Yes, it's still available for pre-order, but you'll have to go to Indiegogo. not in Kickstarter anymore.
Yep, no worries. Okay, well, we'll put the details in the show notes so people can go and pick one up. I'm particularly excited about this, I'm not going to lie. I think it sounds like a lot of fun. Okay, so
I'm also excited about it.
I can imagine. Are you planning like a big launch party for it?
We did a big launch party in February for the Kickstarter campaign, and we invited all of our friends that we met in London for the past few years. But yeah, probably if coronavirus allows, we'll make a big party in October once we launch.
Awesome.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Or it can be a big socially distanced party to celebrate it. We all stand like in a really big car park and enjoy the music.
Maybe we could do a virtual event and have people from all over the world kind of join us in the party, because that's something that we always worried about, that we're based in London, so only London people could come, but we have backers from all over the world, so it would be fun to have all of them in one party.
That'd be awesome. Okay, so let's go over to our main subject now. We're talking about how can we be better in bed. So I know it's like a general question, but how can we be better in bed, Patricia?
I think that question has lots of different angles, because we always understand being better in bed as pleasing the partner, which is very valid and it's very important. But I think especially us women also have to kind of put some effort in making sex better for us. I think that's super important. And I think the basis of that is knowing yourself. Once you know what you like and you know how you like to be touched, what things you prefer or things that you don't prefer, then it makes it so much easier for you to tell that to your partner and communicate in a way that they know what you want and can give it to you. And I think the same goes from the partner's perspective. So basically, you want them to know what you like, but you also need to know what they like. Nobody is the same, so there's no one way of being good in bed. I think being good in bed means that you can communicate and you're able to basically ask and achieve what you want.
Okay, and if someone's like a bit shy about asking what they want, how would you suggest they go about it?
Yeah, this is a big problem, and it's all related with the fact that masturbation and sex is a bit of a taboo in our culture. I think it's a process. I wasn't always as comfortable talking about sex as I am right now, and that's part of the reason that I got into this business. It's a journey, of course. It doesn't come easy. But once you start talking, maybe not to your partner, but maybe to your friend, and then slowly you introduce the topic. It doesn't have to be in a sex context. You can, just casually talk about it over dinner, or, while you're sitting with, your partner, just watching a movie. Just starting talking about these things really empowers you to then go on and, ask for what you want. But I think it's super sexy to be vocal in bed, and people shouldn't be afraid of it. I don't know, I find it super sexy when a guy gives me feedback and says, "Oh, I love how you're doing that right now. Keep going," or, I think everybody enjoys that. So, just forget about the shame. It's all good.
Yeah, that's such a good point. Forget about the shame. And also, who doesn't like instructions that are delivered in a nice way?
Yeah.
Like, it's always it's helpful to everyone, isn't it?
Some people really enjoy
and it's
that.
good to know when you're doing well.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Some people really like let's call it enthusiastic encouragement.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so we've kind of talked about what to do if you're shy, and you made the point there where you were saying because masturbation can be a bit of a taboo. So what would you say to someone that was scared to take that step to do it if they've never done it before, if they don't realise that knowing themselves means that their sexual experiences going forward are going to be better?
Yeah, I think that's always the first step if you want to improve not only your relationships, but also your own sexual wellness, because it doesn't have to be because you want to be with a partner and you want to climax with a partner. In the end, orgasming, even if it's on your own, can feel so good. And it also has so many positive effects on your body. You get that dopamine rush. You feel better with yourself. It does wonders to your self-esteem. So, take it easy. With anything, you're not going to be an expert right away. It's going to take some time. But the most important thing is that you're in a calm environment, somewhere where you feel safe to explore. If music makes you feel more comfortable, play some music, some background music. If you're more into visual stimulation, then maybe you can watch some porn or even some photographs, or you can do it by your own and just try, touching yourself and see what feels good, and sort of very, very acutely listening to your body, and try to avoid any distractions. And maybe the first time it will be a bit awkward, or you won't really, make a lot of progress. But if you keep going at it, you'll find that every time it becomes easier. And yeah, don't forget to work on the shame aspect of it, because most of it is not physical, it's psychological.
Yeah.
So there's probably nothing wrong with you because you can climax or because you have never masturbated. You have to understand that it's more likely because you have some feelings towards it that you have to overcome.
Yeah, practice makes perfect, basically.
Yeah, for sure. And we've all been shamed for masturbating, or most of us, especially women. I remember when I was a teen, it was kind of assumed that guys jerked off, that was, to be expected. But I remember being asked whether I masturbated, and it was one of those things that made me feel uncomfortable. And over the years, I realized that, it's different for women than it is for men. And hopefully that's going to change the more we talk openly about it. But we all have internalized shame because of, societal expectations of one, of how a woman should behave.
Because, when you're younger, it's like everybody thinks that. Guys are doing it all the time. They make jokes about it in kind of like TV shows, don't they? It's so normalized for men to masturbate, but not for women.
Yeah.
And if you know what you're doing, then you'll know how to have a good time, essentially, when it does come to having a partner there as well. So it makes everything better for you. So get started quickly, girls, and get into it.
Absolutely. I remember, I've had so many wasted experiences because I didn't know what I liked, and many of us have faked orgasms, and not necessarily because we wanted to make our partners feel better, but just because, we have the shame of, I should be able to orgasm. What's wrong with me? When, we should really not feel like that. But it's a learning process.
I mean, I've done that when I just want it to be over quicker because I'm bored.
Well, yeah.
So I was just I've had enough of this now. So if I'm just really noisy, then it'll just bring the end around quicker, and then I can do something else better with my time.
But you know what? Over the years, I've become much more straightforward with that. So if I'm not enjoying sex at that moment, I'm just, I just say, you know what? I'm not feeling it right now. You're not entitled to climaxing just because we're having sex, if at the middle of sex I decide it's not working for me, then just because we have this idea that sex is over when the guy in heterosexual relationships climaxes, and that's not the end of sex. You decide what the end of sex is.
Yeah, definitely. I think sometimes I'm just like, especially when I was younger, just far too polite. I'm far too British, far too polite, Patricia. Now I'm older, I'm just like, nah, I'm all right, thanks, bye. When I was younger, I was definitely more polite about it. But then also, I think as I've got older as well, I feel like I've found better partners, and you're better at instructing everybody and everything. And there's that thing where it's like, it's not about the quantity of people I've slept with, it's the quality that I regret. To be honest.
Yes.
So but as I've got older, the quality has got better.
Absolutely. And in the end, if you're with a partner or with a guy that you're having sex with, and you're lying about your orgasm or moaning when you're really feeling nothing, then you're basically training them to do the wrong thing over and over again. and we have to have also some solidarity with the rest of the women. I mean, we just
That
need
is
to
so
teach
true.
them, and they'll learn. I'm sure they'll learn.
That is so true. There are so many people mostly walking around with like really inflated egos just because I was just like being polite. It's
So many
just,
fuckboys.
it's like, oh, exactly. It's like, oh, sorry, hun, you're actually really shit. I was just being, yeah, I was just feeling generous that day.
Absolutely.
Oh dear. Okay, so I'm gonna go over to some listener questions. Right, so because it came what it came lol because what came up when we were just speaking was telling people like what to do. And one of the questions we had was, how do you tell someone they're not great at it without being a bit of a bitch about it?
Yeah. So I think when talking about sex, it's always a delicate subject for everybody. So I think it's better to frame the feedback in a positive way. So if they do 90% of it wrong, but they do 10% of it well, then let's focus on that 10% and say, I really liked how you did this. I would like to see more of that. Or, well, this is with negative feedback, like with sex conversations, I think it's better to have them in a non-threatening environment. So maybe not during sex.
Yeah,
During
that feels
sex,
a
so
bit
you can
much.
give some, yeah, or right after, or right
Yeah.
before. Maybe during sex, you can frame the feedback in a way that you give them indication of what they can do in order to improve. So if they're, for example, eating you out and you don't like the way they're doing it, you can say, hey, could you do it this way? Or I really appreciate when you do it that way. Can you continue? Or give them feedback in a way that's positive, and it's not non-threatening. And then if you need to have like a more in-depth conversation, try to frame it positively again and do it in an environment where they're not going to feel vulnerable or exposed.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
That would be my advice.
And that's
Yeah.
good advice. I mean, far better than, I don't know, smacking them on the head and saying, no, no, that is not right. That is only a 3 out of 10. Definitely being nicer about it. Can
Imagine.
you imagine
Like, I
the
think
harshest feedback?
anybody would be crushed because of that,
Yeah. And also, I like the way you're saying is kind of, you can do it in the focus on the bit that's good. You don't necessarily have to bring up those kind of negative bits. I suppose you don't want kind of do like what they do in work, where they do like a shit sandwich, where you say the good thing, the bad thing in between, then finish with the good thing. You can just focus on, here is the 10% that you're doing good, without telling them it's just 10%. This is great. I'm really enjoying this. And then if they do anything else, then you just gently guide them into doing it a little bit better.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's important to know that telling people what you want isn't being bitchy, and it isn't being rude. As long as you're not saying it in a bitchy or rude way, it's fine.
And again, it can be really sexy just to hear your partner say out loud what they really want and what makes them feel pleasure. It's something that doesn't have to be negative or weird. Like, you can't expect your partners or others to know your body. You have to teach them that. That's always the basis point. So we have to be open to hearing criticism, or, well, more than criticism, to hearing feedback, and also be willing to give it.
Yeah, exactly. And also, who doesn't like a little bit of talking dirty sometimes, as long as it's done well, because also sometimes it's not great. Sometimes some people have done it and I'm like, oh, I don't know what you're doing, hun. This is a bit much.
Yeah, yeah. And what works for somebody maybe doesn't work for everybody. Some people like very lewd comments. Some others are a bit more shy and maybe don't want that. It's all about asking again, communicating. What do you like? What do you want to hear? Then you do more of that.
Exactly. And not like, oh no, do you know, I was about to say a story, but I don't know if that person will do you know what? They're not going to listen to this. It doesn't matter. I don't speak to him anymore. But he used to, used to like kind of stop and say stuff. And I'm like, what? Why are you stopping to talk to me about this? He just couldn't kind of not explain things thoroughly. It was just like, what is happening? Can you just carry on, hun? So yeah, it was interesting because he wasn't that bad at it. He was actually quite good in bed, but it's just the stopping and saying stuff. And I'm like, why are you stopping? So yeah, so don't do that, guys. Actually, talking about kind of awkward sexual encounters, have you got any that you can share that you don't mind sharing?
Uh, I guess my most awkward experiences have been with people I didn't really know well. And maybe we were intoxicated. I think, when, especially when I was younger, I had some experiences that I wasn't fully comfortable with. I wouldn't say that I was pressured to do them, but maybe I wasn't experienced enough to sort of basically ask for what I wanted, and be very vocal about it, and sort of say, no, this is not working for me, I'd like to stop, or basically those are my most awkward experiences. But I think that's part of the learning curve. um, Nothing too embarrassing, to be honest. But yeah, it's mostly about how I felt in certain situations.
Okay. I
Yeah.
don't. My stories are like any ones I have are just ridiculous. It's a lot of them are around getting caught, just doing crazy things, being too loud, stuff like that. Nothing, or just really awkward places and stuff. So yeah, I'm not going to go into all of them because there are too many for this show. Okay, so we'll go back to some questions. Okay, another listener question. How can I have more control over my gag reflex when deep throating?
Ooh, yeah, this is a difficult one for some people. It definitely takes a lot of practice. I would say there are some positions that work better to control the gag reflex. So, for example, if you have the guy laying down and you basically face his legs, basically like your ass facing his face, and then you try it in that position. I feel it's so much better because it just has the perfect curvature for you to try it, and use your hand as well. So maybe put
Yeah.
your hand in the base of the penis, and I found that really works well if you can't have it all inside your mouth. It also depends on the penis size, of course, so it's not going to be
Yeah.
the same with all the guys, but I think that those two tricks can really help you get started. And then if you want to keep trying in other positions, then you can try it, but those are the basics. It's
Yeah.
a struggle for most people.
Yeah, exactly. But then also some guys like it if you're like choking a little bit
And some girls do as well.
as
Yeah.
well because it makes them think, oh, it's so massive. Yeah. Even if it's not the biggest, but yeah. But obviously, a gag reflex is a gag reflex as well.
Yeah.
There's not huge amounts you can do except for getting to the right position. Really, yeah. Just take a break if you need
Yeah,
to.
and if you really hate the gag reflex and they love the gag reflex, you don't have to reach that point if you don't want to. Some girls, as I told you, they might like it, and so yeah, perfect, go ahead. But yeah, it's not great for most people.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's about also doing what's comfortable for you, and people, guys and whoever you're mucking around with, they'll be fine if you're like, okay, that isn't for me. And there's the other things you can do. Just distract them by doing something else, like magic. Do something else with the other hand and see if they, and that hopefully that will distract them. Just wave something shiny in front of their face.
Yeah.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
Next question. Are sex parties fun? I'm very keen but apprehensive. I don't know. Do you know much about sex parties, Patricia?
Yes, I know a little bit. I can recommend it. There are many different types of sex parties out there. So, it's all about finding the one that you think you're gonna enjoy. So there's ones that are a bit more BDSM focused. If you like to get dressed up, there's play parties, which are not necessarily sex parties because there's no intercourse allowed, but maybe you can explore with like-minded people and with different senses, and things like that. So there's really so many parties, depending on what you're looking for. There's also private parties, I guess, if you don't live in London or in a big city and you don't have access to that. Well, now nobody has access to that, sadly, because of coronavirus.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, not at the moment. Yeah.
But if you wanted to, to try in a protected environment, you could also, just find some people that you want to have like a sex party with. It could be 10 people, 5 people, and then, try it out in the comfort of your house. And then, move on to bigger parties. People tend to be very respected, like very respectful in these parties. Normally, like sex positive crowds have, they understand consent quite well. I have to say, I've been harassed more at regular parties than I have at sex parties. So if you're afraid of that, just don't worry too much. Obviously, you always have to be alert, but people tend to be quite respectful.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Good, that's good advice. Okay, next question, which I think is brilliant because it comes back round to when we were talking about, being vocal, saying what you want. Why can't she orgasm? We need to give this guy some advice.
Yeah. So, can she orgasm by herself? Is she having Is she having issues orgasming with penetration only? Have you tried playing, with your hands or with your mouth? Because very few women can climax only through penetration. Most of us, we need clitoral stimulation. So, it's important to realize that it's completely normal not to be able to climax only through penetration. That's a bit of a myth. And guys also feel really bad when, they can't make a woman come that way. It's a misconception. You just have to try different ways. And maybe, some people actually find it really hard to climax with another person in the same room. So maybe they can climax while they're masturbating, but then when it comes to partner sex, there are some barriers. Any way is fine. You can also introduce toys that make the job easier. There's no shame in using a bullet vibrator, for example, while you're being penetrated. I think that's a great way of, achieving climax together. And it's also really fun. There's also male toys, so, the possibilities are endless. We just need to kind of move away from this idea that, the penis is supposed to give me the orgasm, And yeah, that's the most important thing. Just find a way that you're most comfortable climaxing, and just do it that way.
Okay, good advice. Right, then next question. What's a good starter sex toy?
That really depends. It really depends on what kind of stimulation you want or you prefer. Some people prefer external stimulation, so with their fingers in their clitoris. Some people prefer internal stimulation, so maybe they want a penetrative toy, or maybe they prefer anal stimulation. It's all about trying different things and then sort of realizing what you're gonna like best. But there's no easy answer to this. For everybody, it's going to be different. So yeah, just try to think of where you like. How do you masturbate normally? Is it only the clitoris? Because then you can get like a maybe a bullet vibrator, or you could get a suction toy or something like that. So yeah, it's a difficult one. There's not a straight answer, I'm afraid.
Yeah, and there are so many different things that are available as well. It's unbelievable.
So many. Maybe you're fine masturbating on your own and you don't need a toy for that matter, but maybe you want to spice things up with a partner, and then you can buy like a couple's toy,
Yeah.
So.
And of course, once Vibio's out in October.
Yeah.
That's the one.
I mean, yeah, our toy is definitely it's great for couples, just because you have the remote control function. So you could be in your house, bored, quarantined, and maybe your partner is somewhere else, and you just want to have some fun and make him or her part of that experience. So you could just, give him access to your vibrator over the app, and just lay it down and enjoy. It's a way of spicing up sexting, I guess. So maybe if you're cool with your masturbation routine and you don't need anything else, but maybe you would like to make your partner part of it, then buy a remote control toy or something like that. So many options.
Awesome. And then does it, like with that one, can it be operated from anywhere in the world?
Yeah, it works over the internet.
That is
So
insane.
as long as both partners have the app installed, then it works.
That is insane. I can't wait to try that. I'm not going to lie. Okay, next question. How can I improve my oral skills? Now, I don't know if this came from a man or a woman, so maybe we just need to answer it for both.
Yeah. So, watching porn is something that I would say be careful with it, because sometimes, like, at least from a personal experience, porn has been one of my biggest sex educators, and I don't really think it should be that way. Just because in porn you can find so many problematic material, or things that are not quite accurate, or things that ask the person you're with, and then have them guide you, and because it's never going to be the same answer for every person. Obviously there's some things that you can do well generally, but every person is going to be different. Some people, for example, some guys like it without teeth. Some guys like it with teeth. Some women like it very intense stimulation, very quick. Some others are more sensitive and they want slower, gentler stimulation. Some people prefer fingers. Some people don't like fingers. So there's no single way to do it, but always listen to your partner, because they're gonna tell you what they want, and after that it's just practice.
Okay, good advice, good advice. Yeah, and I think I said I don't know if it's a man or woman, but I should say I don't know who it is there. I'm not sure whose genitals they're playing with, so I wasn't sure who that was for. But yeah, that's the main thing. Real, like you said, there is communication, isn't it? And then kind of, I suppose, having that open communication, being comfortable to communicate, and then that person communicating to you what they want is, I suppose, what's going to lead to your improvement of oral sex skills.
And everybody loves oral sex, so they're gonna be fine with you taking a little bit of time just to get it right, because in the end it's in everybody's best interest, so don't worry about it.
Yep, defo. Awesome. Okay, so we're on our last question now. But again, I don't know. I don't know who this question is coming from, so we're going to have to look at this from both angles. Do you have any advice for overcoming the fear of pegging?
So basically, pegging, for those who don't know, is having penetrative sex with a dildo or a strap-on, and it generally refers to males being receiving. Although you could peg in a lesbian relationship, that could also happen. But yeah, the fear around pegging is mostly the fear men have around anal sex and about anal penetration. And that's, we could spend hours uncovering all the different factors that play into it. Definitely there's some homophobia around it, just the fact that, if I enjoy anal sex, that means that I'm gay or something like that. When men just have an organ, it's the prostate, and when it's stimulated, they enjoy it. That's pure science, pure anatomy. So obviously, if you go from 0 to pegging, that's probably not going to be an enjoyable experience.
Surprise!
I think it's important to take it step by step. So start with some anal stimulation, but in the outside, and then slowly introducing fingers, for example. Always use a lot of lube, especially anal compatible lube. So that's a bit more, how do you say it? It's a bit more not resistant, but basically, the vagina is self-lubricating. So the lube, that you use it doesn't matter if it dries up quickly or not. However, if you're using anal penetration, the anus doesn't have that same lubrication system. So you want to make sure that you use a lube that, is resistant and it's going to keep doing its effect for a long time. And yeah, try small. Maybe if you don't feel that comfortable having a partner do that for you, maybe you can start by masturbating and introducing, maybe a small dildo or, like a bullet vibrator or an anal plug, something like that. Or even your fingers to get more in tune with your body and, how it's going to feel. And once you feel more comfortable about it, then, have a partner do it for you. But yeah, I think pegging can be so enjoyable, and it's a shame that there's so much resistance and that it's such a taboo. So yeah, I feel you. Like all of those guys that want to try it, I feel you. I'm sorry. Just try to be open about it. You'll find the partner that will love to do that for you. So don't be afraid.
Brilliant. That's such a good answer, and thank you so much for like answering all those questions. And I hope that person overcomes their fear of pegging. Just go with the flow, enjoy yourself, have a good time, and just communicate. I think the main message I've got from all your advice is communicate, talk about it. Everybody likes doing it. Well, most people, I shouldn't say everyone actually. Not everyone likes it, but a lot of people like having sex. A lot of people like that are enjoying it, and if we can be open and talk about it, then everyone's going to have a good time. Brilliant. And do you have any parting sex tips that you would like to share with the audience?
I guess just because we're in lockdown, we're kind of easing out of lockdown at the minute, but it's probably going to come back eventually. I'd say don't forget about your sexual health. The fact that you can't be close with a partner doesn't mean that you can't enjoy yourself. And, especially in these times, our libido tends to fluctuate a lot. So for some people, it goes off the roof. For some people, it just stops. So whatever that is, just make sure that you're taking care of yourself. And, that you don't neglect that part of yourself, because it really affects how you feel about yourself, how you feel about others, your self-esteem, your mood. So yeah, go masturbate.
Yeah, I love that. Go and masturbate. Wise words from Patricia there. But yeah, as we are easing out of lockdown and people do want to, start getting it in, like myself, have fun, stay safe. Stay safe from the Rona, as well as staying safe and sexually as well, and communicate. And like Patricia said, just masturbate. Well, she said it once, but I'm saying it 3 times. Thank you so much for joining me, Patricia. And everybody, go and order yourself a Vibio immediately.
Thanks, Yolanda. It's been a great pleasure.
Thank you for listening to Speak On. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share with your friends, family, co-workers, strangers in the street. To find out more about us, including our upcoming events, head over to Instagram, instagram.com/speakon_. Bye!